Hey, coach.
Hey, Tag.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's always good to be seen by you.
Yeah. Yeah. The Slammers Baseball Recruiting Podcast, delivering value and expertise to the player, parent, and coach. This one's unscripted, probably because I've been thinking about this one for months. And I knew that it was going to be in the middle of summer that we would need to have this talk. But we've kind of reached that point in the season uh, where you play so many games that it doesn't feel like you train anymore. Right? So what I wanted to get into today was um, routines, in between pitch and pre at bat tactics in order to optimize performance and to improve performance. You know, when I say that, what does that mean to you?
Oh, man, I think about breathing. I think about visualization. I think about positive self talk. I think about what did I do after the game to prepare myself for the next game? How did I get to the next pitch and not be stuck back? How do I eliminate all the thoughts that don't mean anything and get to a point where I say this to my wife and she laughs at me and just like, watch the ball. And she's like, well, don't you think they're trying to watch the ball? And I said, no, sometimes I don't know if they're actually watching the ball. I don't know if they're actually tracking the ball out of the hand into contact. And she
Right.
laughs. She's like, well, that's what they're trying to do. I said, yeah, that's what they're trying to do. But sometimes the simplest piece of vision and the simplest piece of breathing is such an important piece, and that's your training. That's your training. That's what you
Yes.
train.
The it's a very complex neurological function to how is it to answer your wife's question about, well, isn't that what they're trying to do? Yes, in theory, but
Yes.
then when the stress of this happens in 500 milliseconds, then your habits take over. Your anxiety becomes toxic sometimes. And then, you know, to expand on your point, you need to watch the ball the whole way, not just out of the hand. And that's what ends up happening is you just see it out of the hand and then you don't, you forget how good you have to be mid-flight, right? And now it's a game of not even inches, and that your brain has to make those in-flight adjustments to your hands to be able to strike it the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why journaling is so important, right? And I think that's why breathing is so important. And that's why visualization is so important because it encapsulates all that, right? There's no way you could get to that pitch right before contact if you're not breathing correctly and moving at the right time, if you're not visualizing where you want to get to it at, what spot, how do you change your eye level? I mean, very simple adjustments. Like, how do you change your eye level down sometimes? How do you change your eye level up? Sometimes you're chasing the breaking ball down and you have to raise your eye level a little bit, 15 degrees. And if it's not 15 degrees, then just raise it a little bit and understand that. Sometimes you're chasing the fastball that's at the top of the strike zone and you can't get to it. And so you have to push your eye level down to get the ball down in the strike zone just a little bit to be successful. And if you don't understand where your eye level's looking, you can't get to those pitches.
Yeah. Yeah, point taken. I remember, playing for you, and I used this when I played after you, but this topic brings what's really important is your flush routine. How do you flush? How do you prepare? I think that baggage, the enormity of performance and the moment makes you block out how you flush, both good and bad, right? And also how you prepare. Um, we were talking about your old player that's in the big leagues right now,
Yeah,
and the game's no more difficult than what got him there and all the success that he had, but then you lose track of that. You lose track of that, and whether that's the energy of your team, whether that's the questions from the media, just ultimately you lose that tiny little discipline that you have that's on the bus on the way back to the hotel or from the hotel to the field, you know? That's what I recall about the ebbs and flows of the season was taking command of my inner voice. Like even though I knew it and I knew that it was a law, you still had to remind yourself. Like, you know what I mean?
always, you
And
think about yeah, go ahead, finish.
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, flush. How do you flush? Like, for me, it was just all about breath, right? I would go through like a breathing exercise after every at bat, and whether I hit a home run or whether I struck out, I was gonna sit the same spot in the dugout, right? And I was gonna go through the same routine so that it always felt the same, so that I wasn't riding an emotional up or down. And then one thing that I'll say about the pre at bat routine is, every dude that I played with that raked always had a focused, positive energy in the hole.
Right,
I don't know one guy that raked that represented nervousness or anxiety or tightness in the hole. The at bat started in the hole, you
right.
know? And it just carried itself over and over. And that's not to say that they do it every single time, but it's certainly a part of their habits. You know what I mean? About being
Sure.
intentional about the energy that they create in the whole. What do you got on that?
I think that's where I talk about self-talk, right? So all of those guys that were in the hole, not on deck, they were in the dugout, right? They were watching. They were talking to themselves in a way that, "Hey, this is fun. Hey, I'm gonna
Mhm,
get a good pitch to hit. Hey, I'm gonna have success. Hey, I'm gonna see the ball well. Hey, I'm gonna enjoy this," and they wave to somebody that they're they're not there like, "Oh god, I can't believe I have to hit again. I don't like this. This is no fun. I'm gonna make an out. I'm gonna strike out. I'm gonna pop up. I'm not gonna get ahead in the count." The great ones, they're like, "This is fun. I get another chance to go in there, no balls, no strikes, and hit the first pitch, or get to a 1-0, or get to a 2-0 count." And then they as soon as the at bat starts, they become present, and I think
mhm,
that's what successful players do. You don't go down 0-1 in the at bat and go, "Oh, here we go again." You get an 0-1 count and you're like, "Okay, tighten up the zone. Where am I looking to go get the pitch?" They make mistakes out over the plate all the time, and you look for it out there. You get to the 0-2 count, and it's not like, "Oh god, I'm gonna have to chase." It's like they make mistakes.
mhm.
I mean, they make mistakes in the big leagues. They make mistakes at the high school level. And it's like, how do you quiet all that noise? Who's here to watch me? Do I have a scholarship yet? How many at bats have I had this tournament? What am I hitting? My parents aren't here yet. I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. Coach is not happy with our performance. My teammate was late to. I mean, how do you quiet all that and just focus on? All right, let me figure out where this guy's release point is. Let me figure out what his stuff does. Does it cut? Does it run? Does it rise? Does he go to the breaking ball? Is that his plus pitch? What is his tool? Is his tool the inner half of the plate, the outer half of the plate? Now, it gets a little more difficult when you go against a guy and you're like, man, he's commanding in and out, he's commanding up and down, he's commanding the breaking ball. And you're like, okay, I got to get something out over the plate and I got to compete. But if you start narrowing them down, then you quiet all the noise. And basically, all you're trying to do is narrow the pitcher down to a certain spot with a certain pitch at a certain time and hit it. And that eliminates who's watching you, how many at bats you've had, whether your parents are there or not, whether you're hungry, tired, thirsty, or hot, whether your coach is happy or sad. It eliminates all that.
I noticed with the 17U team, they will come back and they whisper to the guy going up to the plate every at bat. And I'm always kind of curious, like what they say, right? Um, Ultimately, I think it's a sign of respect, like in the camaraderie in the team. So I've never challenged it that much, right? But from a professional's perspective, I shouldn't really need that because if I've done my homework in the hole and on deck, I should know what his ball does. Explain to the audience how to not being in the batter's box, being able to observe what a pitcher's ball does and how to tie an approach to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, watching the catcher receive the pitches, looking at the balls and strikes, where are the majority of the pitches? What does the stuff do? And you have a pretty good idea of that when he's in his warm-up pitches, when you're 4 hitters away, when you're 3 hitters away, and that's where you said the success happens, are the guys that are in the hole, because now they're narrowing down where they're going, and then you go to the on-deck circle, you get yourself ready, you step in the box, you let yourself work, and you let yourself have some fun and enjoy the process of it. But, I mean, it's very easy to figure that out. I do think, though, from a coaching standpoint and maybe even from a good teammate standpoint, that talk, that whispering that's going on should be something to the effect that, "You can do this.
Mm,
Um,
mhm,
get your pitch.
mhm,
Breaking ball's fine, but you'll see it. It pops up out of the hand." Something that triggers positivity, confidence, so that when you get in the box, there's some relaxation,
mhm,
or an aggressiveness. Something said that says, "Man, this guy's throwing it right over the plate. Go get him." I don't
mhm,
think we really need a lot of information from the person coming back, but I think as a good teammate, uh, as a good team, as a good coaching staff, I think the only time to get involved in that, I mean, the only time I ever got involved in that is when guys would come back and go, "Man, I'm not seeing it. This guy's stuff is explosive. He's killing me." And I'm like, that's not doing anybody any good. Even if that's actually happening to you, don't share
right,
that with anybody. Don't even share that
right.
with yourself. Don't even tell yourself that because that's bad self talk. I can't see it. I don't know. I'm just going blank. It's black.
Even if it's true. Harvey used to say, "Function over feeling."
Oh, even if it's
Don't
true, please don't share it.
eh,
Like, "Hey,
don't yeah.
this guy's breaking ball is unhittable." It's like, that ain't doing us no good.
No, you gotta see it up. Everybody's breaking ball is hittable, it's down, you know?
Yeah. It's like, "Oh, man, this fastball it's just unbelievable." It's like, it probably is, but we gotta figure out a way to hit it.
Um, when you watch a pitcher warm up, I'll say this, and this is true at the highest levels in pro ball. Most guys do something very nuanced that's different on their breaking ball, or if it's a contrast thing. I don't wanna make it sound like they all tip their breaking ball or they all or that they all tip their fastball. But most guys, because of how they train, I noticed that not every time, but they would do something just their tempo was just microsecondly different on a breaking ball. They'd either speed up because they didn't want to slow down, right? Or they'd either slow down because they didn't want to overthrow it. But if you observe, in fact, I'm astonished watching young players at how little they watch in between innings. And that is not an indictment on them. It's more about just the habits that I created over a decade in pro ball. But it's just so much habit for me to watch the pitcher throw every single warm-up pitch in between the innings because you get an idea of their emotional state. You get an idea of what their pattern is. You get an idea, like, watch them call their pitch, right? Watch them call their pitch to the guy, and you can tell if he likes that pitch or if he's feeling it, right? And here's what I can tell you is that not many guys, when they need to get outs, they go to what, like, their vibe is on the pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
whatever
those
that
little yeah, those little nuances, I really think help you when you're trying to play every day and you don't have time to try to master technique or transform yourself from a technical perspective. You gotta go out there and compete, you know?
It's really interesting that you say that because my son-in-law was here for the week watching the games with me, and he
Mhm.
played in the 8th grade. He didn't play college baseball, he didn't play in high school, but he's a sports fanatic. He loves the Giants, he loves he just loves sports. And he said, "Who's the best pitcher you've ever seen and why?" And I said, "Trevor Bauer." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "'Cause everything came out of the same tunnel and everything
Yeah.
looked exactly alike. The
Yes.
fastball, the curveball, the slider, the changeup, it all looked the same. He never tipped anything to you, so you never knew what pitch was coming out. I said, "Let me show you this," and we watched every pitcher. I said, "This guy's gonna throw breaking ball right here." You could see the glove. I said, "This guy's throwing fastball." You see the body motion.
Mhm.
I said, "He's gonna try to go to a changeup off speed here because he's slowing," and he was like, "Oh my god, you could see all that?" I was like, "I watch it every night." I said, "I know 95% of the pitches that are coming and what side of the plate they're coming
Yes.
on
Yes.
during this game, and it's a habit for me. I do it
Yes.
every day." Uh,
Yes.
so then the door opens to the bullpen, and I said, "Oh god, this guy, not this guy." We got a one-run lead, and the guy's coming out of the bullpen, and he goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "He doesn't throw strikes." I said, "Count how many strikes he throws in his 8 warm-up pitches." He throws his 8 warm-up pitches. I said, "How many strikes?" He said, "0." I said, "How many strikes do you think he's gonna throw when the hitter gets in the box?" He said, "0." He
Yeah.
throws 8 straight balls in the game. And he's like, "Well, how do you know this stuff?" And I'm like, "All you gotta do is watch."
Watch.
Yeah, all you gotta do is watch their body movements. All you gotta watch is their body language. All you gotta watch is the catcher set up. And yeah, we've seen it, you've seen it, I've seen it our whole life. So as soon as we go to the ballpark, we eliminate all the noise and we start trying to figure out how to win.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what these young kids need to do when they go to the games is they need to figure out a way to win. Maybe not win the game, but win a pitch, win an at bat, steal a make a defensive play because you're paying attention to the location of the pitch. I mean, all of that is nuanced in the game, right? It's not just about catching it, throwing it, hitting it. It's all about how do I gain an edge? How do I pay attention enough that I can gain an edge and I know exactly what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's training, and that was the question you mentioned earlier, like, don't get a chance to train? Oh my goodness, you're training every day, you don't get to go to the cage and take 100 hacks. You don't get to
Yeah.
look at your video, but my goodness, can you train yourself at game speed every day? Most definitely.
What for a high school kid out on the circuit that is in an environment where they're walking a long way from their field to go get a minimal amount of batting practice, let's say they get 30 to 40 swings, right? Um, how do they make the most of that time? What should
Yeah.
their thoughts be? What should their intent and focus be when you just have 30 to 40 swings in a inconsistent environment and the vision component probably isn't that good, right? How do they get the most out of that time to prepare to perform at a high level?
Yeah, I think you go back and you look at the professional golfers that we watch every day if we get to watch professional golf and you watch them on the driving range, they don't hit 50 balls. They put one ball down, they go completely through their process. Sometimes they go through 4 stages of their backswing. Sometimes they just work and then all of a sudden they'll take a full swing and then they'll put another ball down and they'll go completely through their takeaway, completely through their downswing movement, slow motion. not hitting a ball yet, and then they'll go to their pre-swing movement, they'll take it back, they'll hit a ball. So they've
Mhm.
taken 2 swings in 2 minutes, right? I think they need to maximize that so when they're in the on deck circle before they go into the cage to take their 6 swings, what are they working on? What are they feeling? Are they feeling load separation? Are they feeling landing in their feet? Are they feeling the movement of going inside the ball? The start of where the bat is the bat next to the shoulder or is it away from the shoulder? How do I feel those things? And then now I get in and I take my 6 swings, and when I get out of there, I feel exactly where my body was and how my body was gonna move, and now I'm starting to make some adjustments to my process, right? And I think that's why, when you were in the on deck circle, how many swings did you actually take in the on deck circle before you went in to hit?
None,
Yeah, 0.
none. I'll tell you
0.
this, I put the
What did you
donut
do?
on the bat, donut on the bat, right? Reset the batting gloves, 3 arm circles back on the left, 3 arm circles back on the right, 3 arm circles forward on the left, 3 arm circles forward on the right, loosen the wrists, and then I would just time the pitcher, right? And maybe in between a pitch, maybe swing once.
Right, just to get the feel.
Right. And then I kept the weight on all the way until it was time for my at bat, then put it down, that's when I'd swing. That's
Yeah,
when I'd swing. To your point about being in the moment, is that that was me restricting myself and making intentful use of that on deck circle, right? And let's back up into being in the hole. Okay. My It's the same routine every single time. Take the batting helmet out, put it in the trench of the bat rack, put my batting gloves on, grab the bat, sit on the rack, observe the pitcher, prepare my mind, right?
yeah,
Literally a manifestation of words that was exactly what I was going to be in the batter's box and watch the pitcher, right? And the guys may talk to me, you may get something, but it would be very obvious that I am in an aura. I
yeah,
am in my own bubble. My
yeah,
at bat has started right now, right? Then I get to the on deck circle. That's when it becomes physical, right? Becomes physical, but I still haven't swung. Still
yeah.
haven't swung. I'm loosening my body and preparing my body and syncing the rhythm of my body to what the pitcher is dictating. And then as I approach the batter's box, take one practice swing. Then get in the batter's box and do the same thing there every time. Itch the dirt, set my spot in the batter's box, step out, reset the batting gloves, one practice swing in there, tap the same part of the plate every single time. Let's go. And that's probably my best advice for a hitter that's on a circuit right now. If you want to stand out to somebody and make your performance be prescriptive of future performance at a higher level, make it evident that you have a clear routine.
Oh, you have a process, no doubt. You have a process, you have a routine, you understand that, and I think that's why journaling is so effective at the end of the day when you go back to the hotel is just put your thoughts down of what you wanna do better tomorrow or what you
Mhm.
did well today, and how do you completely perfect that process over and over? It's just like a chef perfecting their sauce or perfecting their food, right? It just you do it over and over and over and over until you perfected it. And then even when it's perfect, you continue to upkeep it and clean it and do it. And
Yes.
so you're always doing it.
I used to get asked all the time, particularly by like aunts and uncles, that would come watch you play once a year. And I would get asked all the time. They're like, baseball players are superstitious. Would you say you're superstitious? And I'd be
Hmm.
like, well, if you watched me, you would probably think I'm superstitious, but I'm not. It isn't like I think, as a for instance, um, whatever place. So they would put your helmet in the bat rack for you, right? In the helmet rack. So wherever that was the start. If I didn't get a hit, it moved. And it's not because I thought that where my helmet was made an impact on my performance or the outcome of my at bat. What it was I get a hit, it stays there. And we're going to stay there because that's the energy that I'm going to draw on. Oop, didn't get a hit, moving it to a new spot. Why? Because we're in a new spot. you
Yeah, because
know,
we wanna do something different.
correct. Absolutely
Doing
correct. And then
doing
as I
something
evolve,
good, wanna keep doing that.
100%, just stay right there. Just do exactly what you just did. And then, like I said, it starts with the helmet and the bat rack. It's the same process all of the time. And by the way, struggle a little bit and none of the bat places work. Oh, I make sure that my helmet gets placed on the bench in a certain spot.
Yeah. You know, and some people may say that's superstition. Basically, what that is that's giving you ownership of what you're doing, so you're in control, nobody else.
That's right.
Nobody else is there's not a superficial hitting person that's in charge of that. You're in charge of that. That's why you
Right.
move your helmet. That's why you perfect it because you wanna take ownership of what you do.
Yes. Yes. I had a conversation with the player last week and he was in the middle of a couple of days off and he was just like, I haven't been hitting well and I was just wanting your advice on like how I handle that. And I was like, well, tell me how tell me how you prepare for a game. And he goes, I usually take 20 or 30 off the tee. And then as I go to flips, I swing the heavy bat and then I'll swing the light bat. And then I use my regular game bat and then I hit from no stride. And I just said, stop, stop. I said, so like, that's like 50 swings. And when do you work on your game swing? when like you just gave me an off-season technical performance and a technical training program.
Right?
But when do you need to go? All the thing that matters, the only thing that you really care about and that you're emotionally invested in as an athlete is how you perform. So when do you work on your game swing? And he says, well, after all that's done. And I was like, okay, you got to get rid of all that because you're at like 50 to 75 swings, which means you're going to start to fatigue. Right. And so then now you're working on your game swing in a fatigued state. Like, what's the when should my game swing be ready? How about that? Right? I go from the hotel, I get into a van, right? We go through our active warm up. When should I be practicing my game speed swing, my game effort level swing? When is that?
Oh, in batting practice.
Yep.
In batting
By
practice or
about round 2?
or off the tee, the first round, you're trying to just stay behind the ball and hit it the other way. You're looking for it away, and then after that, you're gonna let yourself go, and by the time you get to your second round, when you're in round 3, man, that should be your game swing,
Yes.
and then you know what swing you have that day that you're taking into the game. You
Yep.
have to know what swing you have that day that you're gonna take into the game. Because if you don't understand what swing you have that day, I mean, great hitters understand where they're at.
That's so
Where
true.
the swing changes, and we want it to be exactly the same, but sometimes the body feels different. Sometimes the mind moves the body differently. Sometimes the weather moves. Sometimes there's conditions that move you differently. Sometimes the dirt is different and you're down a little lower and you have to make an adjustment. So you need to know what you're taking into the game that day and then use that swing to the best of your ability.
Great point. In support of that, I would say I noticed this. There were some days when you say about gaining an awareness of what swing you have that day, when I didn't have it all, when I didn't feel completely on point, here's what I noticed is that, and players need to realize this, when you train and most kids that are good, they can hit the whole plate, right? But the real identity that you need to have is what do you hit best? And so if you hit the whole plate, and if I'm a right-handed hitter here, let's say, that, 70% of the pitches, if this is the strike zone, 70% of the pitches, they try to attack you right here. Okay. So that's where I'm grooving my swing. What I noticed was on days when I wasn't my best, that I would that I really I would be too aggressive on this pitch, or I would try to overcorrect and create that ball flight. So I would either create pull side on the ground that was foul and then not have good pitch recognition and chase breaking ball, or overcorrect and then create that. Probably something that took me 5 to 6 years into pro ball to realize was, "Hey, dude, you don't hit that pitch today.
No, today that pitch isn't working.
Today, you take that pitch. You take it for a strike, and you take it." And here's what I know, like, when if I look at how my career went, like, receiving that and being able to implement that and execute that, I took so many more I got in so many better counts on days that I wasn't good because I didn't get over aggressive on that middle end down pitch, right? And you just receive it. And by the way, when you're a power hitter and the pitchers see you take that, and I've talked to them about this in the outfield during batting practice, they're like, "Why did he just take that pitch? He's sitting on the breaking ball." Right? He must be sitting on the breaking ball. And then
Pitching
they start thinking things that aren't even necessarily true. It's like, "No, dude, I just can't hit that pitch today."
the pitching coach is freaking out in the dugout like, "Whoa, I don't know. Don't throw him the breaking ball. He's sitting on it." But it's
Right. So then they
self-awareness.
don't throw the breaking ball, and then they try to keep pounding it in there. And you know how hard it is to throw a pitch on the inner
Yeah,
half to repeat on that over all the time? They can't
that
do it. So when you put them in that box, now you've changed the mental paradigm of the at bat.
exactly. Self-awareness, right, is what you're talking about, and understanding self-awareness, and we were talking earlier about adjustments. And so you can't get into the box and adjust your swing because that's where that cut comes from, or that's where that hook comes from, right? You need to take your game swing, but where you make your adjustments is in your breathing. Where you make your adjustments is in your eyesight. Where you make your adjustments is where you're looking. Where you make your adjustments, moving a little earlier. So you can make adjustments, but you're not really trying to change your swing. You wanna put your body in the right spot so you can take your swing, not change your swing. And I think that's what
Mhm.
most young hitters do. They miss a pitch and they're like, "Oh, I gotta change my swing." No, it's the timing, it's the visual, it's the relaxation that needs to continually tweak to be successful. And that happens in the dugout, in the hole, in the on deck circle, in the at bat, during batting practice, in the ride of the van to the game, on the way home from the game, before you go to sleep, when you wake up. And you're like, "Oh, that's too much." Well, do you wanna be a player? Because if you wanna be a player, that's what great players do.
Mhm. Mhm. No doubt. Last topic, backwards Ks.
Okay.
I cannot believe how many young hitters take strike 3 uh, and borderline pitches and then give bad body language after it gets called. I just how do you coach a player through that
Yeah,
without creating tension? You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah. It's really interesting too because, and we're old, right? So we're starting to get old, like, "Get off my lawn," old, like, "Don't step on my lawn," because so we're getting old like that. But it was a cardinal sin to take a 3rd strike with the runner in scoring position. It was a cardinal sin to take a called 3rd strike with the runner at second base and no outs with the chance to move him. It was a sin,
Yes.
and everybody in the game understood that. Now, no one cares. No one cares anymore about that. Like, I can't say that no one cares, but the majority of the group doesn't care like that. Right? It's like, okay, you wanna help your team win? You have to put the ball in play You don't need to leave the strike zone, but there are certain pitches you could handle to put in play to score the run. That's how we have a chance to be successful. And I think that's you have to understand, hey, how am I going to give the best effort to help this team? And I think that that doesn't create tension that says, okay, look, I have a responsibility of this team to give them my absolute best effort to help us try to win this game. And if that's
Yes.
moving runners, if that's scoring runners, if that's hitting with 2 strikes and putting balls in play, I need to do that. Where you let guys off the hook is it's like, "Oh, no big deal." Like, I'm looking for a pitch to hit for a double or a home run because I wanna get a scholarship. It's like, let me tell you what, the coaches that are there at the games watching, those are the get off my lawn type of guys, and they're like, "Man, I wanna see that guy put the ball in play.
Mhm.
I wanna see that guy do something to help the team. I don't care about his power numbers. I want him to help the team right now." Now, when you get into that 2-0, 3-1 count, you can take a pitch because 'cause you're looking for
Take it
another
with
pitch.
intent, though.
Yeah,
Take it with intent. I can't stand those passive takes. You know what I mean? Like, it's 2-0, and then you see a pitch on the outer third of the plate, and you don't it's just like, you know what I mean? It started in the whatever it was, but then they just sit there and they take it, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" The kids that you I don't know if it's, like, the abundance of information and then, like, the on-base percentage and how much you walk. Dude, nobody cares how much you walk in high school. Nobody cares.
no,
Nobody cares.
no.
The only place that they care is in the big leagues. That
Yeah,
is the only place that they care how much you walk, and the media and prospect reports and whatever, and they talk about eyes and strike zone discipline. Nobody cares.
at the ball skills, yeah, nobody cares, and the thing is how do you the question you asked, how do you teach it without tension? Well, you have to understand when a guy comes back, you need to know what he was thinking. Were you looking for the ball in? I don't know. Well, were you looking for the whole plate? Were you looking for the ball down? Were you looking for the ball up? Were you looking for the ball out over the plate? Because if you were looking for the ball out over the plate, then you score that run. But if you're only
Mhm.
looking in one location for the perfect pitch with 2 strikes, that's where all your backward strikes are coming from. Or were you telling yourself, "Don't strike out, don't leave the strike zone," because that's a negative that we don't need. What we need you to do is to attack the strike zone, is to attack strikes. So now it's a thought process, right? And so, my dad, God rest his soul, I love him. My dad's theory on that was swing the bat. That was
Yeah.
his theory. That caused tension, right? That caused
Yeah.
tension because yes, that is the point. I understand, but there's gotta be way more to it that's causing you to lock up and not swing, right? And sometimes, guy bangs a breaking ball way at the base of the strike zone away from you and down, and you don't swing at it. And it's like, I get that one. That one I get,
Yeah.
right? I don't get any of
Yeah.
the other ones. I don't
Yeah.
get the hanging breaking ball the guys take, and they're like, well, I thought it was up. It's like, it's so easy to score the run right there. Just swing.
I'll make yeah, I'll make a recommendation too. You know, another thing watch is I watch 2-0 counts. I watch good hitters take 2 balls, no strikes like it's 3-0. I w it look, don't be afraid. It's not gonna be a bad look if you expand the zone 2-0. It's not. It's really not. And the backwards K is equal and opposite or equal in what I see in the instances that I see of watching power hitters take 2-0 pitches with passivity.
Oh, yeah.
And that is unacceptable in college. Unacceptable in college. And most of these guys that are doing it, they're not speed guys. And it's like, dude, if you're only a first to third and second to home guy, you walking is in no way an advantage for the team because you're a borderline score on the double guy,
Right.
which means you're in the lineup to hit doubles.
Yes.
Like, and if you look at the statistics of the likelihood of extra bases, it's going to come 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, and 3-1.
No doubt.
That's statistically, you are exponentially more likely to hit for extra bases in those counts. And guys do not expand their zone. And let us not forget that when you demonstrate that, it's a dance with the pitcher. It's a dance not only with the pitcher's psychology, but also the psychology of the person calling the pitches. And when you demonstrate aggressiveness in those counts, you create passivity that transcends how they approach the lineup.
Yeah.
So if you're a power guy, expand the zone and swing the bat in 1-0, 2-0, and 3-1 counts.
I think there's 3 things, and I've narrowed it down to 3 words that I talk about every day with hitters, with players. 3 things you have to ask yourself every day. Confidence, where's my confidence? What gives me confidence, right? Aggressiveness, where is my meter to aggressive? Am I overly aggressive? Am I not aggressive enough? That could be base running, that could be hitting, that could be defense, that could be throwing strikes, everything, right? Where is my aggressiveness? Where is that aggressiveness? And that's what you're talking about as a hitter. 2-0, that's an aggressive count for me. 1-0, that's an aggressive count for me. 0-0, that's an aggressive count for me. 3-1, that's an aggressive count for me. Those are aggressive counts as hitters. Like 0-0, if you want to throw it in the middle of the plate, you're going to pay.
Yes.
1-0, if you're going to throw me a fastball out over the plate, you're going to pay.
Yes.
3-1, if you're going to throw me a fastball middle in, you got to pay.
Yes. And I
Yeah,
might miss it, but
yeah, but
I
you
will not be passive.
no, I will not be passive. I will
You will
and
not get
I'll
that from
swing
me.
and miss at a pitch sometimes, but I'm gonna let it go in those counts, right? And now the last
Yes.
part, you go confidence, you go aggressiveness, relaxation. You have to answer those 3 questions every day because relaxation leads to aggressiveness. Aggressiveness leads to confidence. Confidence leads to aggressiveness, and aggressiveness leads to relaxation. If
It's
you get
going
those
good.
3 parallels together as a player, you have a chance to be successful, and when you leave the game, it's like, "Oh, I swung at a bad pitch." Why? Because I was over aggressive, or I wasn't confident, or I wasn't relaxed enough. I made good swing decisions. I made good swing decisions the entire day. I don't care how many hits I got, I made good swing decisions. My confidence was through the roof. My relaxation was right where it needs to be. My aggressiveness was there. Those 3 things. And I hate to digress there, but those are the 3 things that parents, coaches, and players need to focus on.
Yes.
The rest of it,
Yes.
it's noise.
Yes. That's a perfect place to leave it. That's a perfect place to wrap up the episode. Oh, man, that was good. Good talking to you, man.